E agora no Stay Heavy vamos curtir uma entrevista exclusiva feita pela nossa correspondente internacional, a Jasmin St, com a lendária banda Carcass.
Welcome back to Stay Heavy TV, and I'm your host Jasmin. I'm sitting here with the God Almighty Bill Stair. Bill, you don't understand. I'm like this. I could barely sit still because it's you. It's like, wow. I feel like someone has to pinch me right now. How are you today?
Well, I'm shaky too, but mostly because of the hangover. So I decided to start drinking now because it's the only way I can get through this one.
Well, actually, you told me something very interesting. You're not a vegan anymore.
That's true. Just a vegetarian. I did the vegan thing for about 7 years, and that seemed like enough time for me because I couldn't cook. I didn't know anything about nutrition. So it's just, it's one way to lose weight and look unhealthy. And I'm now just eating cheese and stuff, eggs and whatever. Yeah.
That's pretty good. So I've been looking forward to this day for many years for a Carcass reunion. This is like the biggest thing in the world for me.
Great.
What brought about the reunion? And is it like weird being in a band with your old bandmates from before?
Yeah, we've been doing quite a few shows now. We did festivals all over Europe, and I guess we're 2/3 our way into this US tour. It's still strange every night. I get nervous before we play because I'm not used to playing to such big crowds. Because in the old days we didn't really do that. 2,000 would be massive for us. So the festivals, playing to 40,000 in Germany, for example, that was strange. But it's great to be back with my old friends. They're really funny people, and I've really missed them, I guess. So it's all positive. It just took a while to get this thing moving. At different times, different people didn't want to do it, and eventually we ended up on the same page. So.
What about Firebird?
That's still going. We recorded an album just a few days before the first festival in Sweden, and that was intentional because I knew once the Carcass thing got rolling, I could write off the rest of the year. So I thought we'll get the album in the can and then release it whenever we can. So I guess it's already pretty old, but yeah.
This might be a bit of a touchy subject, I'm not sure, but I still have to ask. Do you still have a good relationship with Earache Records, with Digby? Or with Al? Al, everyone has a good relationship with Al. Okay, what about Digby?
I haven't seen the guy for many years.
Is he alive?
I believe so.
Oh.
It's hard to say. I'd rather not talk about it in a personal sense
Right.
because none of us had much contact with the guy for so long. But in a business sense, there's certainly been a few problems. I don't know if I can actually talk about those without getting sued or whatever.
Right.
But it's been prickly for about 10 years, and then we came to some kind of agreement recently because they wanted to repackage the stuff and all that. Yeah.
And do you actually see there being another Carcass album?
Well.
Better than Swan Song and better than Heartwork.
Oh, that's tricky.
Better than Heartwork.
Well, if we did a record, of course we'd aim for that because I think for all of us that was kind of the peak of what we were doing.
Right.
Where we had the material and we also had the sound we wanted. I was very happy with the production at the time. I always answer this question in the same way. I always say it's possible because I don't want to say never. That just makes you look a fool. You go into 3 months down the line and suddenly you're definitely doing a record. So I just say it could go either way right now. But the vibe in the band is very good. We finished touring the end of November and then probably relax for a month and talk about it then.
One of my questions, I always want to know, where'd you guys come up with the name Carcass?
The way I remember it is I was in school when I was 15 and that was the first time I started a band called Carcass, although the lineup was totally different.
Right.
In those days, Ken was the vocalist. We had two schoolmates on bass and drums. But yeah, I think it was 85 and I was just flicking through a thesaurus. And at that time, it seemed like the coolest name ever. I wouldn't necessarily think of that now, but it seemed right when you're 14, 15 years old.
Now, you've been around this business for quite a while. Where do you see the state of metal going?
Well, that's a tough one because around the time Carcass was breaking up, I thought our scene, the extreme metal scene, death metal, I thought it was finished. I had no idea that it was just beginning. So then I disappeared into my own world, just listening to whatever was, exciting me at the time, blues and old rock and stuff. And then gradually I started hearing things, I talked to Jeff or Mike and they were saying, there's actually a lot of interest in reforming the band. And I was very skeptical. I thought, no, that can't be right. Maybe a couple of hundred people. And then after a few years, they persuaded me that, yeah, it's really something that a lot of people are looking for. So then we started talking and playing, and the magic was there straight away. So yeah, it was cool.
Where do you get a lot of your lyrics from? Because I like a lot of the stuff off of Heartwork, and everything was just great on there. There was like not one bad song. Where'd you come up with all this stuff, and what went into the writing process?
In the beginning of the band, there was actually Ken's lyrical direction, and then we all pitched in. And then, I don't know, by say the second album, Jeff was doing more than anybody. And obviously, lyrically, it did change. It was kind of very extreme in the early days, and then later, he simplified it just because so many people didn't get what he was writing about. Yeah.
Tell me about Red Dwarf.
It's amazing how many people know about that, and it was really simple. They were looking for an earache band with a couple of long-haired guys to appear in this program. It was very random, and I didn't want to do it because I'd been on TV with Napalm and I hated it. You know, it was just embarrassing. And Jeff hadn't been on TV by that point, and he really wanted to do it. Plus, the money was quite good for a day's, well, I wouldn't say work, but for sitting around and then being on camera for 20 minutes. But it was a good laugh. We got good pay for that, and every now and then there's a tiny royalty check for our appearance. But yeah, it was a weird one. It was pretty strange.
What do you listen to nowadays?
It depends on the situation. At home, I listen to some stuff that people would think is quite weird. Like I said, I like certain blues artists a lot. Early rock is really the main thing for me out of everything. It's just the core of it, so that would be bands like Traffic, Humble Pie, Johnny Winter. Cool. And then, some really left field stuff, like there's one or two country artists I really like, like Charlie Rich or Mel Haggard. All kinds of stuff, really, yeah.
If there wasn't a Carcass reunion right now, what would you be doing besides Firebird?
In all honesty, I'd probably be back at my last job, which was working in a warehouse. Yeah. So, it sounds really nasty, but actually it was good because my boss was an old school friend, and I had total flexibility. So when I was there, it's pretty hard work. But if Firebird was busy, I'd be off for 2 weeks, 4 weeks or something. So I had a good situation there.
Well, what do you guys have planned after your U.S. tour? I know you're going to South America in November. I'll see you there.
All right, cool.
And then what are your plans after that?
I think that is almost the end of our year. I think we've got, or what is it now? I think we have something in Denmark, and there's one other thing, wasn't it? Oh yeah, the only British date we're doing, which is in Leeds, Northern England, and that's about the 22nd of November. So that's probably it for the year, and probably rest for a while, and then I guess the subject will come up about next year and whether we feel like doing something.
I think we should just do a whole nother album, like seriously.
Well, I'll tell you what, that would be a massive challenge because, we'd have to be better than ever. There's no other reason to do a record unless we can bring something new to the table. So that part of it I like, yeah.
Fans want to keep up with what you're doing and see if you guys actually have the next album coming out or more tours. Where can they go on the web?
Well, I guess MySpace, right? Yeah, it's like, whatever it is. I can't remember the name of the thing, but that seems to be where all the traffic is, and we have a friend back in London and she takes care of it. She's really on top of everything. For me, I'm useless. I don't even own a computer, so it takes weeks for me to reply to anybody.
And what kind of message do you have for your fans?
Well, I guess the obvious thing is to thank everybody who's been coming out, because this whole thing wouldn't have happened without the people that have been really pushing for it. Wherever we've been, people have been really nice to us, and it just gives you a kick up the backside because to some degree it's obviously working. The response has been very good, and we're just grateful for the chance to travel around and do our thing.
Thank you very much. It's been quite an honor speaking with you. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome. So just make sure to check them out on the web at www.myspace.com/Carcass. Yeah, that sounds good, right?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Till next week, I'll see you guys later. Bye.